Sunday, and it's 9 p.m. Central European time. And time zones can be difficult, especially in the switch between daylight saving time and not, and different regions that switch in different times. I experienced that myself on Ham Radio 2.0 on the European Happy Hour on Friday, where I was a guest. But on my side, and I actually managed to point the right way, is my
Yeah,
usual
amazing.
guest, Kjetil,
Good evening.
LB4FH. And we're going to do something different today. We're going to do something that none of us really master that much. Well, we actually done that before, so that's
Yeah, we're
nothing
good
new.
at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good at doing things we can't do.
And let's see. We have Stian in the chat, and Andy was here 3 days ago. So I'm not sure if Andy's here at the moment or not. So we'll see what happens there. But we're going to talk about APRS. And what are your experiences with APRS, Kjetil?
I've been using it quite a lot, actually, mostly for tracking while I'm out hiking.
Yeah,
And that's because I go hiking on my own, like many places where there's no cell phone coverage. So I would like that people at least know where they can start looking for me.
yeah, and that's one of the aspects of APRS, the tracking aspect, which is probably the aspect that most people know.
Yeah.
And a lot of radios which are marketed as APRS capable are only APRS transmitters and not receivers, though. So
Yeah, and they're also very they're basically limited with what they can transmit. They can send positions, but they can't send messages or mails or anything.
Exactly. So I had a couple of different thoughts today. My original thought was to actually show off the mobile linked, the little Bluetooth TNC here, but I couldn't find a great way of showing both the phone and the radio and everything on stream. So I kind of gave up on that. That'll be a subject for a separate video. But I got my radio set up here now, the Kenwood D700, which is an APRS capable radio. It's about 20 years old, or probably more, actually. It's a halfway decent radio, and it's got full APRS functionality. So that is what I'll be using, and it'll be a little bit like doing text messaging in the 90s. Because in addition to position tracking, APRS has actually a lot more capabilities. You can send messages to each other, just like text messaging. We've tried it out a little bit earlier today just to see if it works. And I'll leave the little screen with the display of the radio there. And for you North American viewers, there is nothing wrong with the frequency, but the region 1 frequency is 144.8 for APRS.
Yeah.
And we tried a couple of different things earlier today, Kjetil. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what we tried and what we made work and didn't. And we'll do some demonstration here in a little while.
Yeah, of course. I'll talk about that. But first, I saw we had a first-time chatter in here and also one that got his license last week, Paul. So
Congratulations.
And welcome to this crazy gang of people. I
Yeah.
hope the others in chat are nice to you there. But
always,
yeah.
Always nice to have new amateurs here.
Yeah.
And actually, as you can see on the radio there's a message coming in there from LA4MIA, I think. And that was just a beacon where you can set your position beacon to also carry a message along.
That's correct. But back to what we tested earlier, we did try a few things. First thing I did today was sending an email. So you can send an email to via Vinlink to any external source. You can also do spotting. So if you're doing parks on the air, summits on the air, for a fauna, or a lot of other things, you can do spotting of yourself and say, hello, I'm on this location, this frequency, and so on. So that's very helpful.
Absolutely. And it actually gives you some form of two-way packet communication where there is no internet. It's actually a form of packet radio, APRS. And and you can do a lot with it. We're not going to do too much of a deep dive, but I'm thinking we better demonstrate a couple of the options here. Just let me go back to the Wikipedia page here for APRS though, and it was developed by Bob Bruninga in 1982. And it is actually a packet network. The radios get a packet, and depending on how they're set up, they repeat the package over to the next station. Especially digipeaters do that. You also have something called an iGate, and that's something we're going to touch a little bit on today, because that's what makes it possible for us to, let's say, spot ourselves on silos on the air, which was actually one of the programs I saw you could spot yourself on through APRS. Let's not talk about parks on the air. Let's not talk about summits on the air, but let's talk about silos on the air for once. Too bad it's an Australia only program. I see Walt's here, even in Norwegian. Welcome, Walt.
Not bad.
Lee's here, and Ham Radio Dude's here. And he says it looks nice where I am. Yeah, it actually is where I am, though, except it's a stock photo. But it looks a little bit like this. So why don't we go ahead and try something? I don't know if I could try to send you a message, though, and see what happens.
You can try. You can do the joyful thing about trying to push in text message on good old APRS thing.
And exactly, because well, looking at the demographics of ham radio operators, well, you probably remember texting in the 90s without any dictionaries or anything. This is a lot like that. But I'm going to put my radio up in full screen here so we can see it. And I'm going to press the message button. And I'm going to scroll down to input. And actually, you were the last person I texted to. So your call sign is already there. And there's a -9 there. And that's because you have different kind of SSIDs, as they're called, depending on what kind of station you are. I'm on a home station now, so I don't have any SSID. Mine's only LB0FH. And if you guys want to send us a message, though, during this, feel free to do that if you're an APRS. And -9, Kjetil, what is that?
-9 is a portable station. -7 is also used for portable. And these are guidelines. They're not strict rules. So many people just use -7 or -9 or something else. You have special ones for boats, special ones for airplanes or balloons. In the start, as far as I remember, you only had 15 of these, but that's no longer a limitation. So you will, for example, see something like Lima Bravo 0 Foxtrot India -I, which indicates that you're using an iPhone instead. So it's not as strict as it used to be.
And I'm just typing away while you're speaking. This takes a while. And I see that Bert says T9. No, there is no T9, at least not on my radio. It is painfully slow.
Yeah.
And,
I can see if I can show on my end what it looks like. I'm using SU FT2DE, this one. I'll turn off the background because that seems to mess it up. And see how that works. Basically, you're texting in via good old-fashioned, or at least on this one, you got all of the keys here. You have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and so on. And you press multiple times to get one of each of these ones. And then if you need to press, for example, MM, then you have to press M and then go to the side and press M again. So this is something...
just sorry. It looks like I got a message while I was typing it. We'll look at that later. So I've typed up my message now, and I'm going to press OK here. And the nice thing about this, it's a combination of using the buttons on the radio and the microphone. So it's a little bit hard. So while we see if you get the message here, I'll change back here and I'll see if I received any messages while we talked.
Yeah. So
yeah, I got actually a message from LB3FJ Stian. He's in the chat as well. It says using APRSDroid.
Nice.
So, and APRSDroid is a program you can use for Android, which is actually a really good program. Probably the best phone APRS application you can use. And that is you can use that with the mobile TNC, like the mobile link here, or you can use it through the internet, because you can also do APRS through the internet. Yep. I can hear you receiving packages there. So
yeah, that was a message here.
Yeah.
This is live on YouTube.
Exactly. and
this is a Yaesu. So for those who know, Yaesus are known for having the best menu systems in the world, or some, or maybe not. So this is the message I see here. You can see the date, and it's RX. So it's a limited format. You can send, I believe it's 100 characters or something like that. And it's no guaranteed delivery. So if my radio is not on, then I will not get this message.
Exactly. And I see that LabCat comments that we all miss the old-fashioned 80s and 90s packet radio. And I got to admit, I really want to take a deep dive into packet radio and BBSs and message boards on packet radio, because I miss the golden age of computers before the internet. So this is halfway, let's say, an attempt to do that.
Yeah, a very important thing to consider about APRS is that it's a shared system. So if you send at the same time as somebody else, then probably none of your messages get sent, and you don't understand why yours wasn't sent. So it's in a high traffic area, it can actually be quite challenging to get data out.
Yeah. And it's both a strength and a weakness of the system. Everything's on the same frequency, but you don't have to use a set frequency, though. If you're two users that want to do this on another frequency, you can do that. Absolutely.
Yes, and for search and rescue, for example, they frequently set that up on a different frequency.
And I see Bert asked if you get a confirmation. Yeah, I did. I don't know if you saw that on my screen, but there was a quick acknowledgement message popping up when I sent the message. And the way this message traveled, though, from me to you, was that it went from where I am to the closest iGate, maybe through a digipeater or not. And an iGate is an APRS terminal connected to the internet. Then it traveled through the internet to your closest iGate and back on RF. So it's not RF all the way across the country here, but it's most certainly works, though.
Yeah, and it could be. In APRs, you have different destinations that you can send to. So if you see something in a radio that says something like wide 2-1, that means that your packet can travel between two repeaters. So you hit the first one, that will rebroadcast it, and it will subtract from the second number. So the next package from that will be wide 1-0, and then it knows, okay, it's been traveled, but I'm not gonna rebroadcast it. So there has been some instances with people broadcasting with, for example, wide 9-9, which can create a packet storm. Basically, everybody, because the message changes every time, every digipeater just keeps changing it, and it gets repeated again.
And while you're talking, I'm just going to show the APRS.fi website here, and just demonstrate how you can see the different APRS stations around you.
So APRS is a very good way also to see if there's tropo conditions on 2 meters.
Yeah.
Because suddenly your hand terminal will start showing up a lot of people from, for example, Denmark or UK or something like that.
Yeah, I usually, when there's tropo conditions, I usually get a lot of sorry, not UK, but a lot of German and Danish stations here. I see that Stian says he set up his Anytone 878 with analog APRS. He hasn't been able to send the text, but position works. And yeah, that's the way that radio works, though. It doesn't support sending text over APRS or receiving APRS. It just supports sending your position.
Yeah.
And if we zoom into the map here, you can see my location here. And I've chosen the house as an icon because this is my home. And actually, that line here is somewhat of a false identifier because I had the wrong position report earlier. So the APRS system thought I was here. So I haven't traveled there with my house. It's just some kind of different or false position report.
Yeah, and that is very typical for the mobile applications. For example, APRSDroid, because it sometimes uses rough positioning, meaning that it takes whatever position you are. So you can suddenly jump from being there to being in Strömstad and back again if you happen to be connected there.
Exactly. And as you can see here, there are a lot of APRS stations nearby, and looks like Digipeters, most of them, though. There's one here, LA6GIA, here. And if you don't want to share your position and put it out public, this is absolutely a concern to think about when you share your position or not. But let's see if we can find you here, Kjetil.
Yeah, that would surprise me, but I don't have a GPS position. I'm inside, so that location is just some random coordinates I put in there.
Okay. Yeah. So that is not where you are. And actually, my radio doesn't even have a GPS. I had to set the position manually on it.
Yeah.
But since it's a base station radio, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't travel much.
So for mine, I can either do GPS position or I can input, and I have a set of coordinates you can pre-store. This F2DE is a really ancient system, but it works. And the only reason I still use it is that it has full APRS capability.
Yeah, and not a lot of radios has the full APRS capability, though. It's mostly Yaesu radios and old Kenwoods, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And I really doubt that any will get that in the future. I sent you another link on the private chat in here.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I can find that. I'm just gonna address the question from Bert here. The SMS option at the UV878 is actually for DMR text messaging and not the APRS text messaging. Let's see. I gotta just choose the right. Just let me move my windows around a little bit so I can get the link you sent me up.
So I don't think it's a really bad thing that they don't include APRs, because it is an ancient technology. But DMR APRs is not good either. So it's not a good alternative. So we really need something to replace it, at least for position tracking.
Yeah, let's see here. I'm gonna see, and actually StreamYard, which I use, is great for a lot of things, but not sharing a lot of windows at the same time. But this is vhf.dxview.org.
Yep, and this one uses APRS packages to predict where you can have tropo conditions.
Yeah, and that is actually great, though, so you can see where tropospheric ducting goes on. And as you can see from the map here, we don't stand a chance to do any 2-meter DX contacts at the moment.
No. You can usually zoom in and it will show a bit more. I think this is a very much a proof of concept page, but it does show the concept very good.
Yeah, and I see that Lee comments, doesn't the 878 have different generations, more features over time? And that's correct, though. I think the second generation of the 878 has, if not full APRS capabilities, it has at least APRS receive, as far as I know.
Yeah, and APRS over APRS has one advantage, is that it's really simple to set up. It just works.
Yeah.
So if you travel throughout Europe, it just works all the time.
So, and LA5 PPA says, not a good path. Relay is not in use. The best path for a mobile station is wide 11, wide 22. Might be the way might have seen what I've set up on my radio here, or what the APRS reports was. So I'm not sure. I'm no expert in APRS, so it might be I've set up my radio wrong. And
so mine is always on wide 2-1, and that seems to work well most of the time.
Yeah, and I see that LabCat says why that fixation on analog APRS of many old men's. What benefits does it give over digital APRS via DMR?
It works.
It works. DMR can sometimes be painful, and sometimes it's not really standardized. I can see that I got a couple of messages on my radio here, so I'm gonna see what it is live on YouTube. I hope you haven't sent me anything bad. Let's see. I have this looks like the same messages as I have. Let's see. This was from you, and my clock somewhat doesn't work properly, so.
That's an advantage with having a GPS in the radio, because it sets the radio time and date from GPS.
And I have another one here from LB3FJ. Greetings from Narvik. And so he actually sent something, and I'm just gonna. And it's got a terrible. This radio has a terrible user interface, so I'm just gonna delete all the messages, and it still shows that I have one unread message. So let's go back out and see what happens. And LA5 PPA losses says that same for portable, use wide 11, wide 22, then you will get 3 jumps.
And most of the time that is more than enough. If you're doing SOTA, 3 jumps will reach out really far.
Yeah.
Because then it's the power of the base station that will transmit. So that's can reach way too far.
And John comments that might mention that 9600 baud APRS works extremely well on the Kenwood radios. I haven't actually tried that. Mine's in 1200, and it's been that way for 2 years.
Yeah, we use 1200 in Europe, so you wouldn't get anything on 9600 here.
Well, you're dependent on the other station running that baud rate as well, though. So
yeah, and so it's not fast, but it works. A really interesting part that comes with a radio like this one is that it pops up position reports when you get a new station. So if you look at this one, it will tell you information about the other station, where it is, and it will also send you a bearing from your location to it. So this is very helpful when you're out in the field, if you're looking for something or someone. So a lot of this has been built to be used in search and rescue and thereabouts.
Yeah, you can see mine does the same thing though here. So I can go through a list of the stations I've heard, and I usually do that when I see there's tropospheric ducting going on, because then it's exciting to see.
Yeah, I usually turn it off then, because you get a lot of stations. And at least on this radio, it is very annoying.
It is. Mine just sits here in the shack though, and mostly the time when I complain that there's not a lot of activity on 2 meters, as the times I've just turned the volume down and forgot about it. So
yeah. So should we try sending an email? Or do you have that set up?
Don't know if I have that set up actually.
No, should I guide you through it?
Do you need to set it up? Which way do you set that up though? With an APRS message?
Yes, of course. So we can guide you. I can guide you through it, so we can do it live, so that nothing can go wrong. So
I'm just gonna. It's kind of hard to reach the radio though, because I got a camera in front of it. So, so let's see. Where do I send the message though?
You send it to email with station number 2. Maybe you could make your radio bigger.
Yeah, I can do that. Let's see, email in one word.
Yes. You can see this is not fast.
Email
and it's -2.
-2. I just gotta remember where I had the dash there. Let's see, email -2. And I see that Stian says I'm still broadcasting testing ISS APRS, and I am aware of that. It's just that I can't find the menu item where I changed that beacon message.
Lovely.
Once I find that menu, I'll do that.
Yeah, APRS ISS is on a different frequency, by the way.
Yeah. Okay, I've set this. Then I gotta press OK here on the radio. And what do I send?
Then you enter the alias you would like to use, because the first thing you do is set up an email alias shorthand. So, for example, I've added me, like in myself, and so write in me and then space and then your email address.
Okay, so I'm gonna enter me. Wrong button. Just one moment. Me
I guess
space.
this is really fun to watch.
This is slow moving television or streaming.
So
and now I got to find the @ symbol though.
Yep, good luck. That's advantage of having it on a touch screen. But this you basically just set up an email alias and then you send a message to that.
Let's see. I bet it's somewhere around here. I bet
it should be.
Yeah,
there.
Not press another time now.
So if you wanted to send to, for example, me instead, then you would enter my email here.
And it's probably not really smart to do this through WinLink, but I can try though. I got the Radio Mail app on my phone here, so. Okay, like that.
Yep. Excellent. And then you send that.
That is everything. Okay. I'm gonna.
That's the first setup.
Press OK. And I'll probably get a message back now, I guess.
Then you should get a mail message back saying me added.
Let's see what happens.
That took a little while for me to get.
Yeah. We'll just see what happens. So I'll get it back here. And well, actually, what I can do is I can see if the message just popped by without me looking at it. Now that was the message I sent, so it's not here yet. I wonder if I can keep it on the screen though, if it exits back by itself. Let's try that. Labcat says that hams are a little bit masochistic, willingly using machines and tools with the worst and clunkiest interfaces just because we can. And yeah, we can. It's playing with ancient technology, and so we'll see if I get this message back here.
Otherwise, I can send a message and you can have a look at what it looks like.
Yeah, how about you send me a message on my WinLink address, and
I'll send it here. I can share.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have the setup here. Enter the message. It's going to email to, and this is a test. And then you press the message button there, and then I should hopefully get some response. Yep, email sent to mail address.
Yeah.
And you should Trade this email address. I think every spammer in the world has it.
And it wasn't that readable anyway. Bert asked if my APRS ID is just my call sign. Yes, it is on this radio over here. It is, because this is a base station radio, and that's why.
Yep.
That's why I don't have any SSID on it. But you, as a portable operator, has -9. So it depends on your operating conditions.
I'm sharing my screen now. If you can see that.
Yeah, I can see it. I just gotta put it up here.
So then you just get an email like this.
Yeah.
AE5PL.net from LB4-9. This is a test, and some links to where you can find it.
Yeah.
That's it. So this came like a few seconds after I sent it. So it is actually quite fast.
And we got another comment regarding our devices, and Paul says that the websites looks like they're made in front page in 1999, and that's probably because they actually are made in front page in 1999.
Welcome to the ham radio community, Paul. Having something that has flashy GIFs is a sign that you're a cool operator. There are quite a lot of old pages, and some of these were built in the 90s.
Yeah, and I'm going to share another web page though that doesn't seem like it's built in the 90s here. So and that is APSpot, which is actually a way to spot yourself or get spot reports for different programs. And as you can see, it spots the following programs here. It spots Worldwide Flora Fauna, Summits on the Air, Parks on the Air, and the infamous Silos on the Air. And if we're not an Aussie, there's not really any use of looking into Silos on the Air. And let's see, I have another message here. Just I gotta navigate a couple of different programs at once to get this done.
So as with any other ham radio service, this is of course unencrypted and open. So it is rugged.
Now I got the me added, but now you demonstrated it, so I'm not going to do that. But now I know that I'm able to do that though. So
so you just send a message to email-2 with me and space, and then up to 100 characters or whatever the limit is, and it pops up at that email address.
And from a preparedness standpoint, that might actually be good. If you're somewhere without cell phone coverage, you can actually send an email saying that you actually you're in distress or something, without having to get up a computer or phone doing WinLink. You can do that straight from your radio if you have a radio that supports that.
Yeah, and the best thing is then, of course, to have sent one of these messages so that you know that you have it. So for me, this is now stored in my outbox, so I can easily modify it.
Yeah.
Because you will forget these commands.
Exactly. And it's actually like many things in ham radio. You tend to forget them if you don't use them, and if you're not prepared with it. But let's go back to let's see here, to the AP spots, and you can actually get some POTA spot. You can spot yourself. We're not going to do that, but you can actually get the last spots here. Let me see here. Just got to find the right place on the webpage here where it said how to do it.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that a direct APRS to APRS connection would be a valid QSO.
Yeah.
So you can actually do a full activation with just APRS if you would like to do that.
And actually, I came across something called APRS Thursday about a week ago. I haven't looked really into it, but it's a net going on every Thursday with APRS where people text each other. So let's see here. You can. Let me see, where do I send this? I send it to AP Spots, I think. So if I want to check the Parks on the Air spots, I can send Spots PODA. So let's try that out and see if we can get that to work.
Yep. There's some there are some really interesting talks about this as well, talking about like there have actually been PhD theses written on APRS usage. I remember hearing one a few years back, a discussion about it on the AMP Hour podcast. That was really interesting. You heard about like a lot of the theories and usage, how frequently you should send, and so on.
Yeah. Let's see here. AP. And this is so much like texting 30 years ago.
Yeah. So this would be a great thing to have in for example, firmware on the X6100.
Yeah.
If it was a 2-meter one.
Let's see here. Was it AP Spot or AP Spots? You should send it to AP Spot. Okay. See, and it was Spots PODA, and that should return the last 3 PODA spots.
Mm-hmm. So also there are some other links between this and WinLink. So if you send a spot location message in WinLink, it pops up in APRS.
And that's actually good though.
And that turns useful. Up as your base station. So you would be just LB0 Fox India there.
Yeah. Spots. Let's see here. PODA. And that should return the last 3 PODA spots. And there it's the acknowledgement message.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was the spot.
Yeah. I'm just going to go into the message window here and see. And it looks like that. So Kilo 1 Lima Oscar Kilo is at K3261 on 15 meters FD8, if anyone wants to know that. And this radio is actually a little bit weird though, because I can't scroll in the message. I have to wait for it to cycle by itself.
Yeah, there are some interesting quirks.
And let's see here. Stian says me as the recipient's address. Exactly, it is. So if you want to send to someone else, you gotta make an alias for that.
Yeah, so I would say, for example, Dave and add dave@gmail.com.
Yeah.
So sure. And, I think you can actually send directly to the email as well.
We'll look into that, but I'm not going to do any more long form typing right now. Mike 7 Whiskey Alpha Bravo, new viewer in the chat, I think, and I'll check out and see if you got a channel as well after the stream. That APRS desperately needs someone to create a user-friendly front end for it.
And there are some. There are some if you're using a Mac and also in Linux. There are, but those are mostly using APRS-IS, which is over the internet, but it goes to the same network.
Yeah, and actually APRSDroid for Android phones isn't too bad either. And you could use such a simple setup as APRSDroid and an audio cable for your ball thing. And that should work and just using Vox, and that should work. I've made it work halfway decent a couple of times. Or you could get one of these again. I'm going to do a little bit more on the Mobilink. LB5JJ was kind enough to let me borrow his for a while. So it's been a fun device to test out. Not really sure if it has enough functionality for the price point for my use, but it's certainly a device that is new and somewhat more user-friendly than doing both WinLink and APRS just through the radio interface.
Yeah, some of those are quite hard to use. So I would love to be able to use, for example, the X6100 over Bluetooth just to be able to send there. So
Yeah.
there are some.
Speaking of that, could you do APRS over HF? Do you know that?
In theory, yes.
Yeah.
It's just a modulation. I think at least over 6 meters I've heard of it before.
Yeah. So, and I see that Lasse remembers UI view for Windows. I haven't been a ham that long, so I don't.
I've seen it. I've never used it, but I've seen videos about it.
Yeah, and John comments that the Digirig is also a good device for APRS, and I guess that's a device that would add more functionality than the mobile link. Although
you can also do RX via RTL SDR and SDR Shark, for example. There are some plugin modules there.
Yeah. So, and John also comments that the APRS is being used over HF. So that will be a subject for another stream, actually, to dive into that. Yeah, APRS got some functionality, and it's one of those things, one of those aspects of the hobby that I kind of get back to once in a while, but I never dive deeply enough into. I don't know what your thoughts on that are, Kjetil.
No, I basically normally I just use it for position tracking, so there's not more to it. But I do follow every now and then. I have gotten QSOs from SOTA summits from people that have seen me on them. There's a service that if you're using the correct icon and using -9 or -7, and you're within 1 kilometer of a SOTA summit, you get automatically spotted on that summit. And you get a message saying that you're close to it.
Yeah, and that is actually a nice feature.
And horribly annoying. But there's there are some logic to the characters you can use or the icons you can use.
Yeah, and I see that Mike 7 Whiskey Alpha Bravo has done APRS on VHF with a homebrew cable and Wuxen and Baofeng handies, and it says it's a bit of a faff but fun to fiddle with, and like most things in ham radio, it's always a little bit of a fiddle using and trying out this, but that's for me the fun part of it, just seeing how it worked. And if it was easy, you wouldn't need a license for it. So I guess that's part of the fun, though.
Yeah.
So, and I'll look into the APRS Thursday net. Ham Radio 2.0 did a video on it, and I joined the Facebook group, but I haven't gotten any further with that. But seeing how that will work, at least there'll be a lot of messages in the inbox on my radio then.
Yep.
So, back to other things. What's going on your channel, Kjetil? We have actually gone for 45 minutes without talking about your YouTube channel.
I've been working on a video for this week. I was out doing CQ WPX this weekend. So that's the fun. I did 16 QSOs, so I'm not winning. But it was enough to activate the POTA area I went to. So that's going to be fun. Also, a lot of drone photography lately, just learning to fly it and to take decent shots with it.
Yeah, and that's almost a hobby by itself, though. In addition to amateur radio and YouTube, there's another hobby with drone photography.
Yeah, and I'm already understanding that I need a bigger and better one.
So what kind of drone did you get?
I got a Mini 3 Pro, DJI Mini 3 Pro. It's very lightweight. So that's why I bought it, because it weighs very little and it's easy to carry to a summit.
Absolutely. I have the original Mini, and it was an excellent drone until it wasn't excellent and crashed. And I've been meaning to fix it for 2 years now.
Yeah. For example, today it was really windy because of high winds. Was gusty, really gusty winds, like 17 meters per second. So, but that's quite common over here.
Yeah. And that's hard on a small and lightweight drone, though.
Yes, but I have to have it. I do see like it gives a lot to the videography of the channel to be able to show those huge scenic places. And there are a lot of them here. So
exactly. And that's why I've been thinking about getting my drone up and running as well.
Yeah, all of the mountains in Østfold.
There are some scenic places though. And Tobias here, Labcat, asked if you have APRS on the drone.
Nope. And that's actually illegal in Norway.
Yeah. Airborne amateur radio is not legal in Norway.
Yeah, or airborne telemetry. We used to be able to do it, and then there was a complaint from TV2, a big TV channel, because there were some people that were sending extreme high power, like compared to what they were allowed to. So they were able to operate their drone from really far away. And from what I understood, it also disrupted some other services. So that was banned, sadly.
Yeah. And I see Mike 7 Whiskey Alpha Bravo says that plug and play is no fun, and the ham ticket is the only license in the UK that let you experiment. And I agree, fiddling is part of the hobby.
Yeah, I had to actually take this radio apart today, and I have never dug that far into it because I had it on the. If you remember, a few weeks back, I went to Gaustatoppen.
Yeah.
And it was stormy, and I just had to get everything back down. So the antenna was like off in that angle afterwards.
So how bad was it inside the radio?
Not bad at all, actually. There was no damage to it. It was actually built for this, but I had to loosen a screw and retighten it, and then everything was okay again.
Oh, that's actually really, really good.
Yeah, and this thing is designed to be serviced. It's designed to be built. As long as you can SM or surface mount solder something that's 1 millimeter big, because there's a lot of small components in there. But still.
Exactly. But being a ham, I guess you're not just a stranger to the soldering iron, no.
Yeah, not at that scale.
Let's see. Oh, I got a DX message here. Let's make this bigger. From K4RJJ. Let's see what he says. Hey, I'm on YouTube. Exactly, you are, and I'm not really sure who you are though, but we'll check that out. Let's see here. There are a lot of buttons to my my setup today. Let's see. That was K4RJJ.
That is fun with this because it can actually you can transmit this across the pond even without being able to send it on 2 meters. So there's a huge backbone there of messages or of systems that allow you to send messages like this.
Yeah. See if I just Google it, it shows up on QRZ. Let's see. And maybe I shouldn't share my screen while I log in, but that's not actually that important because you won't be able to see my password anyway.
We got to see your middle name.
Yeah. Let's see here. It was K4RJJ. And that's Ronald Julian. Yeah, he's an avid commenter on this channel. So you're on YouTube, Ron. So that's good. And yeah, I guess I wouldn't have to look that up.
Yeah, he should have gotten a message from me as well now, just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
So you tried the ISS for a while ago, right?
I did. I was never able to get anything through. I heard the packet noises, but nothing got decoded. So yeah, I'm gonna give that another shot later on.
Yeah, you probably have to get higher up to reach ISS from Europe, or not from Europe, but from Norway. You have to be high up so you see above the horizon.
Yeah, so, and it's really low elevation though, but that is actually a good thing because you should be theoretically able to reach it on a vertical antenna and not having to use a Yagi.
So yeah, no amateur balloons here either. You could probably get permission for it because there's a requirement if you send up a balloon that is trackable. and it would probably be easier to get the APRS permission low power than to get permission to set some airline things up for it.
Yeah. So, but speaking of Russian balloons, we're a neighboring country to Russia, so at least get your permissions before you do that.
Yes.
So you were actually back to your channel there, Kjetil, and just search for LB4FH on YouTube and subscribe if you haven't, though. But so you're working on a POTA video from WPX. Anything else going on your channel at the moment?
Not really. I'm usually at the level of one video per week when I have time for it. So I'm not like going to push as much as you do, because you push a lot of good content.
I've pushed out a lot of videos lately, and actually I've reached a pace where it's hard for me to keep up. If work gets a little bit out of the usual, or if weather doesn't permit going out for a portable activation. So there's only been 2 videos this week.
Yeah. No, I have uploaded a lot, but most of that has been like behind the scenes stuff. I did upload one last weekend about the foggy SOTA activation, and that's actually not been doing very well for some reason. So it's interesting to see what works and what doesn't work in this hobby.
It is, absolutely. I see that there's a question here if there are any satellites that pass APRS data, and as far as I know, only the ISS does that.
Yeah, I haven't heard about any other.
But speaking of satellites, actually, I got this radio on Friday. Nothing really too exciting about it. It's a Retivis RT3S, but it's running OpenGD77, and there's a satellite function in OpenGD77 that automatically, well, first of all, it shows you where to point your antenna on the screen. And secondly, it automatically adjusts for the Doppler shift. So that's going to be fun to try out. I'm going to do a little bit of a deep dive into this radio in OpenGD77. And I'm not really sure if it shows up, though, or if my green screen kind of does stuff to it. But it's... And its stock version is just like any other Chinese DMR radio, but running OpenGD77, you get software written by hams for hams and is open source. So so I'm gonna do that. I see that John comments: Do either of you go into the field in places like Trondheim or Narvik? I actually went to college in Trondheim, but that was before becoming and my mother was from Narvik, so I spent quite a bit of time up there, almost all the summers growing up. But I haven't been out doing parks on the air or any portable operations there.
I did. 2 years ago, I went to Hell.
Just
Hell
just north of Trondheim.
Yes, so there's a place called Hell. So I went to God's Expedition, and I did a SOTA activation near Hell Station. So just for the fun of it, but it was a really nice SOTA. But there's a lot of beautiful nature near there, and
and definitely around Narvik, there is the mountains and the scenery is really beautiful. And for those who don't know that about Narvik, the Battle of Narvik in 1940 was the first major loss for the German forces anywhere. And if it hadn't been for the invasion of France, Narvik would probably have been stayed liberated. But the British, Polish, and French forces withdrew for the occupation of or the invasion of France. But one of the more important battles of World War II, actually.
Yeah. So Norway doesn't look very big, but for me to drive here from southern Norway to Narvik is a 26-hour drive.
Exactly.
So it is really, really long. I did do a bit of SOTA in Lofoten Islands, close to Narvik, or relatively close to Narvik. And after that, they've added a lot of new SOTA summits up there because it was really lacking.
And I'm happy to see someone outside Norway has actually seen that movie.
I actually haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it yet? Oh, you got to see it. It's relatively historically correct.
Okay, that's good because that varies.
Yeah, not completely correct, but and since I spent most of my summers up there, I probably have an unhealthy relationship with that battlefield and that battle. I've read a lot about it, so it's almost historically correct though. So that's good. There's a comment here that you can flash OpenGD77 into some of the other Titera MD380 base sets. Yes, you can. This is one of them. So it's just remounted as a Retevis radio, so you can do that. And there are a couple of other radios it supports. Check out OpenGD77.org, I think, if you want to do that. There's going to be more on that on my channel the next couple of weeks.
It's exciting to see what happens with open firmware for radios nowadays. Like with the Russian guy that does it for the X6100 and OpenGD77, and seeing what people in the field can actually do with this. People that know the hobby and know what the radio is actually used for.
Yeah, and actually, the nice thing about the OpenGD77 is that, first of all, it's stripped from functionality that you don't need as a ham. You don't have any encryption or that, but it's just it's simple and delightful to use and not complicated for how uncomplicated DMR can be. John asks if John actually seems to know a lot about World War II in Norway. I haven't operated POTA from the fort, but the fort has just been added as a POTA spot. So so I'm actually, I have plans. It's not too far. It's about 2 hours north of here. So I have some plans doing that this summer.
Do you have a boat that can get us out there?
Well, there's a ferry going from the town there, so you can just take the ferry out. Ronnie bought the Baofeng 1801, and the 1801, if you have the old version, it supports OpenGD77. If you have the new version, it doesn't. So hopefully you'll be able to load OpenGD77 on that.
Yeah. And I am speaking about fortresses. I had a video from another CQ worldwide contest a while back, and then I operated on Sula Beach, which is one of the big beaches where the Germans set up fortresses during World War II. So I operated very close, like sitting on the beach next to a bunker, huge bunker. So really interesting to see how much history they left behind.
Yeah, it is, and most of the Norwegian coast is actually one big German fortress, or has been, and there's a lot of, still today, 80 years after World War II, there still is a lot of history along the coast. So, and but I see we're closing in on the hour mark. I'm going out for a Parks on the Air tomorrow, and I'm going to test this. I don't know how many saw the video I made about a week ago on the K4OGO Coastal 20 antenna, which I built. And then I had a couple of rough days at work, and I was planning on going out on Friday when I had a day off, but then a major solar storm happened. So I'm not I haven't been out doing that. Stian says that the fortress on the island, Oscarsborg Fortress, where they sank the Blucher, is not part of the POTA park. Okay, I thought it was. I'll have to check the POTA map though. I thought it was. At least I sent an email asking for it to be added.
Is it part of the Castles of the Air program?
I don't know. It's a fort though. It's not a castle. So
yeah, they allow any fortification.
But I'm just, before we end now, I'm going to check the POTA website here, and because
it's Lima Alpha 00028 in the Parks on the Air, or on the Castles on the Air program.
Okay.
Not that anybody does that in Norway, but it's still fun to upload some logs every now and then and give somebody some points.
Let's see here if we can find it. Just got to share the screen again. Like this. And let's see. And Stian's actually right, though. I actually thought that was added now, but it hasn't, because this is the island with the fort on it. And there's no Poda Park here. There is on the neighboring island here. And there is on this little island, but there are no ferries going here as far as would seem, so that'd be kind of hard.
And that's a tunnel. It's not a bridge. You can't just stop your car there.
No. There is one here. There's a fort here too as well. This is a fort. Let's see here. And that opened. Okay, but there was not really any more information there. So I'll need to look into this though and see why it's not. So and Stian actually says they added a side stand on the mainland, which is actually originally part of the same fortification.
Yeah, that's where they shot from there as well, didn't they?
I think they did, because it was part, and I'm no historian though, so don't take what I say now for a given fact. But it was part of the same fortress.
Yeah, so, from what I remember, that's where the searchlights came from, which they used to spot the Bleacher from Oscarsborg.
Yeah, I actually see a combined history lesson and POTA video coming up sometime in the future when the weather improves.
You should do it on April 9th, just to make it simple.
Yeah, that'd be actually good, the day of the invasion. Labcat says, thank you for the live stream. It's easier to join than HRCC at 2 a.m. in the morning, and it absolutely is. It is probably the easier part of it would probably be Coffee and Ham Radios if we want to join the American streams on Saturdays, which is actually in the afternoon here. Dave's here, and this is probably I suspect that's because of the daylight saving times that he's here now. So we're actually ending the stream now, Dave. I'm sorry about that.
Yep, bye-bye.
Stian confirms that it fired from the mainland with small caliber cannons. Or at least he claims. I'm not sure if he confirms or not. So that's it. And we'll be back next Sunday. Yeah. About next Sunday. I'm having some big guests on stream. A couple of the guys from the 3 Yankee 0 Juliet expedition is coming on stream to talk about their experiences. So that should be a good one. I'll drop the details on YouTube sometime early this week. And so that's gonna be great, actually. Hearing them talk about what kind of challenges they met on the expedition. So feel free to share that when I drop the video. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being on, Kjetil. And for every viewer, please do remember to subscribe to his channel.
Yeah, thank you, Kjetil. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 7-3, and let's just see.